Welcome to our Rotherham Senliath video on draft EHC plans. This video will be useful if the local authority have carried out the EHC needs assessment and agreed to issue an EHC plan at this time. Before we get started with the detail, it's useful to be aware that all the information within this video is from one of three places: either the SEND Code of Practice 0-25, which is statutory guidance, the SEND regulations, or the Children and Families Act. The EHC process follows a 20-week timeline. This particular video will focus on from week 17 to week 20, following the EHC needs assessment being agreed, the EHC needs assessment being carried out, and a decision to issue an EHC plan. Around about week 15 or 16, the local authority, if they decide to issue an EHC plan, will let you know that that's the case. First of all, they will send a draft EHC plan for you to be aware of. The local authority will send out a draft EHC plan round about week 17, and they must give you 15 calendar days beginning from the day on which the draft plan was served to share your views and make comments, raise any points or request changes about the content of the draft plan. You're also given the opportunity to request that a particular school or other setting be named in the plan. Parents and young people can also ask the local authority to arrange a meeting between them and an officer of the local authority to discuss the draft plan at this point. By week 19 or 20, the local authority must consult with the governing body or principal of the school or other setting that's requested by either yourself as a parent or the young person, as well as the governing body or proprietor or principal of any other school or other setting the authority is considering having named in the plan too. If a school or other setting is maintained by another local authority, the local authority will also have to consult with that authority too. By week 20, at the end of the consultation period, the final, with any necessary changes, is sent to the parent or young person, the governing body of the setting named, and the responsible commissioning body. During the process of having a look at your draft EHC plan and before the final EHC plan is issued, it's important to be aware what an EHC plan actually is. An EHC plan is a plan specifying the child or young person's special educational needs, the outcomes sought for him or her, the special educational provision required by him or her, any healthcare provision that is reasonably required by the learning difficulties and disabilities which result in him or her having special educational needs. In the case of a child or young person who's aged under 18, any social care provision which must be made for him or her by the local authority as a result of Section 2 of the Chronically Sick and Disabled Persons Act. Any social care provision which is reasonably required by the learning difficulties and disabilities which result in the child or young person having special educational needs, to the extent that the provision is not already specified in the plan. An EHC plan may also specify other healthcare and social care provision that's reasonably required by the child or the young person. Your EHC plan should be split up into different sections. These sections should be labelled A through to K. Section A is the views, interests and aspirations of your child or young person. Section B is the special educational needs that have been identified through the EHC needs assessment. C is the healthcare needs that are related to the child or young person's SEN, and D is social care needs related to their SEN. Section E should specify their outcomes, and Section F is their special educational provision, so what is needed to make sure their needs are met. Section G is any health provision that's required. Section H1 and H2 are social care provision that's required related to their SEN or disability. Section I is the name of the school or the type of setting that's going to be named in your plan. Section J details how any personal budget will be supported to meet the outcomes and the provision that's necessary within the plan. And Section K is a list of the advice and information gathered during the EHC needs assessment. So when you receive your draft EHC plan, it's really important that you have a good read through it alongside all the evidence that went into making the plan. So that's all the reports that were part of the EHC needs assessment. It's important to have a look at the sections and the wording within the plan. Section A. Are your child's aspirations included? Some things to look out for. Does Section A include any wording that describe your child's special educational needs or any special educational provision? If so, you may wish to ask for this to be moved from Section A and into the relevant section. Within Section B, this section should reflect all of your special educational needs or difficulties that have been identified through the reports obtained during the EHC needs assessment. It may be useful to go through the reports and check that all of the needs that are identified within the reports are now within Section B of the EHC plan. Sections C and D. Can the health needs be understood by a non-specialist? Are there any needs that should be in Section B? Again, is there anything that's around special educational needs or the difficulties identified through the EHC needs assessment? Section E should all be about outcomes. And are the outcomes SMART? SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time-bound. Do any of the SMART outcomes link to the aspirations that have been specified in Section A of the plan? Also, look out for are there short-term and long-term outcomes within the plan too. Next, check Section F. Is the provision detailed and specific, or is it vague and open to interpretation? Is the provision specified for each and every need in Section B? Section G. Has the healthcare provision been agreed by the relevant commissioning body? Section H1 and 2. Is all the extra support delivered under social care law included in these sections? Remember, healthcare provision or social care provision which educates or trains a child is to be treated as if it's special educational provision, and as such it should be moved into Section F. There has been some case law that means that EHC plans have a duty to specify. This means that wording is so specific and so clear as to leave no room for doubt as to what has been decided is necessary in the individual case. Not only the child or young person's special educational needs and special educational provision are required to be specified, but also the outcomes, healthcare provision and social care provision included in the EHC plan are also required to be specified too. Section I of the draft EHC plan should remain blank. This is your time to request a type of school or the actual school or setting that you would like to have named in the EHC plan when it's finalised. You might want to take a look at our YouTube video around considering a school to name in an EHC plan. The final EHC plan must set out the type of school which considers to be appropriate, for example, a mainstream, special, residential, primary or secondary, and should normally but not always name a particular school for the child to attend. In Section J, you have the right to request a personal budget. In the final EHC plan, where any special educational provision is to be secured by a direct payment, the special educational needs and outcomes to be met by that direct payment should be set out here. And in Section K, this is all the up-to-date information contained within this section. Has all of the information in this section informed the EHC plan? So go back and have a look at your reports. Is anything missing? You can make use of the EHC Hub at this time. You can add your thoughts or comments to the draft EHC plan via the EHC Hub. But you can also send your comments direct to your EHC coordinator via email, and you will find their contact details on the EHC Hub itself. We hope you found this information on the EHC draft plan and final plan helpful, but you might also wish to consider our other EHC related videos, including considering a school to name in the EHC plan.